Are you tired of spending hours on slides to make them look professional? Enter the amazing AI tool called Gamma. Hey guys, I'm Dr. Liz Moyer. If you do not have that artistic flair or just don't want to spend time making slides, this video is definitely for you. Now, if you're looking for just a very simple template, Canva is pretty awesome. And if you look at the video that's linked in the top, you can see an overview of Canva. Let's jump in and we'll do a quick demo. You can see here that I have a free workspace. I logged in using my regular Gmail, and there is free and paid versions. We'll go over that at the end, and I can answer some of the pros and cons to free versus paid at the end. So step one, you can see very top, create new AI. You're going to click on that. It gives you these three different options, whether you want to paste in the text, generate, or import a file. Pro tip for the day. Anytime you're going to do a presentation, you want to be really intentional about the steps that you follow. I use the 7R framework, which Think Media teaches, and it can apply to any type of presentation that you do. That first R is reverse engineering, which you think about the end in mind. So for me, what I'm trying to do in this presentation is the end in mind. I want to take a newsletter that I recently did and turn it into a presentation. The second R is research, and you want to make done the adequate research to know who your audience is, how much time you have. Let's say my newsletter was a 30-minute read and I only want 3 slides. I need to go in and parse through what I believe is most important. The third R is the record. And in this case, you're not recording, but you're going to present that information. In this case, I will do a paste in text. All right, Control V. And now I have my newsletter that I just wrote that is copy pasted. In the bottom, you can see it's going to ask me a question. Do I want this to be a presentation, a web page, a document, or social? Because this video is going over presentation, we're going to click that. Once you've made sure the correct content is copy pasted, you'll click continue. And now you can see it has some text on the left-hand side. It has said that it's asking me if I want to generate 8 cards for this presentation. And you have 2 different options. You can look at freeform, where you can do card by card, where you actually tell it how you want it to break up the cards. Bottom left hand, this is going to be 400 credits. If I adjust the cards, it will stop me at 10. It says upgrade to pro to generate up to 60 cards. One last thing to highlight is you can see the maximum character length, and that is actually measuring its tokens. I feel good with having 10 cards, and so I'm going to press continue. The next thing that will occur is it's going to ask you for a theme. On the right-hand side, you can see if I toggle, I can click dark, light, professional, colorful, and ultimately choose what I think is most appropriate based on the research that I did. I really do like Gamma Dark, so that's what we're going to go with. Click on generate. So I did time this, and it took 20 seconds to generate those 10 slides. Once everything's done, you will see, hey, everything has been created. You will click continue. The next tile just gives you a little bit more details on how the slides have been set up. And the first time you go through this, it really gives you a tutorial on everything. On your bottom right, you can see all the different options. So we've checked off create your first gamma, but then you could go in and you can add a card, you can drag to the reorder the cards, you can add charts, you can do all sorts of stuff in this. And I want to point out right now, we are just in the free version. Now, this may look a little bit text heavy, but the beautiful thing is you can go in and you can start to say, oh, I really just like this first slide, but I don't want anything else on there. All I have to do is take that out, and here we go. And maybe I want to keep that bottom line. Let me share what Needles Waiting Rooms taught me about leading with purpose. At this point, we are in stage 4, which is R for refine. And now we're going in and we're thinking, okay, what do I need to add? What do I need to take away? Do I want to make any adjustments? Keeping in mind everything that I've done in the previous R steps. I'll just show you a couple of the slides, and you can see what it's done is it's taken a couple of the key themes from my newsletter and then turned it into these big topics. I really like this. It has simple icons. It's very eye-catching. It looks professional. And for me, even though I started PowerPoint when I was in 5th grade, it's just something that allows you to have a much better starting point. I'd say this is one of my slides that I don't really like and I would want to rework. And you can see the different icons where you can edit with AI, you can do card styling, or you can drag to move this up or down. Also, just like any other type of presentation, you can add notes. But here, I really do like the slide where you can see the courage to be vulnerable and giving that shield, that heart in the person. Pretty neat image. Love this. We have to think about a lot of AI generated images are very bright, but our eyes do like those bright colors. And this looks pretty good. I have seen some image generation where the person's got 8 hands or it looks very unrealistic. And while we know this is computer generated, it still has that professionalism that can be used. Same thing, really beautiful formatting. Everything is aligned. And so for the individuals that look at a slide and immediately get distracted because something isn't left justified or there's an area of, I don't know, the picture is blurry. All of that gets eliminated when you use something like Gamma. So I'll just go through pretty quickly the rest of this. I may not like this picture, I can change that. And I've got my little final takeaways that I had from my journey and a cool little chart at the end. At the bottom, you see it will ask you if you want to create something else or you can go back to the prompt. And once you feel good about this, you do the 5th R, which is release. You've got to present this to someone. You've got to send it. You've got to get it out into the wild and let people hear your story, maybe make a decision or just gain some information. Now, the 6th R the 6R is to review, and this is where you get that feedback from people. Maybe they felt like the presentation still wasn't very smooth or that there was a better way to present that information. We are always iterating as professionals, and we're always really trying to get 1% better. You can also review by looking at another way to generate that. So in the first example, I did the piece in text, but you can click over to generate and then look at the comparison and see what you like. When you go to the generate instead of the copy paste, there's 2 kind of reasons where you may want to use this. One is where you just have less information. Maybe you have an outline of what you want to talk about, but you don't have everything written out. And the other instance is that you just want to see the creativity. In this case, I will just give you an example. Now we have the generated product based on socials, a little bit more simple because it knows what the audience is looking for. And you can see that it's taken literally 1 sentence, turned it into 10 slides that you could post on LinkedIn, Facebook, other things. Pretty cool. Guys, this looks very professional. I can always click back to the prompt and then I can make adjustments and then regenerate that. So that's another way to think through that. Your last R is results. We want to see if we did this presentation to maybe gain a decision or resourcing or help that person with better education. How are we going to measure that? And of course, there are quantitative ways to do it. There are qualitative to do this, but you want to make sure that you have that measure of success as you're creating a presentation. Make sure on the left-hand side, you look at some of the additional resources. You can see that someone can share it with you. So if you're working with someone on a group project, and as long as you're working on something that is open source, this is a great way to collaborate. So if you're at a school, if you're at a course, or just trying to present information in a different way, a lot of us are not necessarily going to want to read a long paper, but if we have quick slides that we can look through, that visual and that written can be very powerful. If you find this information helpful, make sure that you subscribe and share with others. And now we'll jump into the pricing along with just a little bit of a comparison of what Canva can and cannot do. To reiterate, everything I showed you was on the free version, but I did go through the credits pretty quickly, and the longer or more extensive you want to make that presentation, the faster you'll go through it. So you do, just like any product that is free, you will have those limitations. There's flexible payment options with monthly and yearly, and you can save up 25% if you do the yearly plan. You have the Plus and you have the Pro. And just take a moment. You can review this, screenshot it, go and look it up yourself if you think this is something that is worth your time. If you find you're only giving a presentation every once in a while, the free version may work well for you. I do want to caveat that this is really leveraging artificial intelligence, which is still pretty dumb. So you need to make sure that If you are using that prompt and you're not providing a lot of context, you're double checking everything and you're looking for citations, or you're making sure that they haven't made up something. And for those of you that are in the military, we do have to be mindful that a lot of our presentations will contain controlled, unclassified information, or just at the next level. And unfortunately, nothing you can do about that. I did mention Canva, and while it does have some AI augmentation, it's really not at the level of Gamma. There are competitors too, which is Pop AI, and make sure you check out my video that does a full review of Pop AI. You can see here, if I click create, I can then go in and say, hey, I want to do a presentation. I will go from a presentation. It will ask me what size I want this, whether it's mobile or just the different areas. And then I can click on a template. There are, same thing with Canva. Canva is going to have the free templates, and then they will have more for the pro version. And now I have a little template, and I can add a page. I can duplicate that, but you can see it does look good. But it isn't that text generation that you're going to see in the same way. When you click on Canva AI, however, you can then come in here and say, I'll do the same prompt. I want to do a presentation on vulnerability. And then let's see. So then I will click design for me, presentation. So now I've got my, think about that drop down template, sign for me, presentation, press the arrow, and it's thinking, it's brainstorming, it's going on. All right, so I timed that. It was a little bit faster than Gamma, and it's given me 8 different options, which is interesting. Instead of with Gamma, you pretty much choose the style. When you click on it, it'll go through it. Anytime you use AI, there will be some generation issues. You can see that G is just hanging over just a little bit, but now it's gone in and done this as well. So yeah, it's really not bad. I think that it can be helpful, but personally, I have looked at Gamma and said, wow, it just takes it to that next level. So if you remember anything, there are 2 keys to success when you're doing a presentation. Is 1, use that 7R framework. It is trademarked by Think Media, but it is very, very helpful in thinking through this cycle of how you present information. Number 2, when we think about AI, it's all about partnering humans with machines. If you are fantastic at making slides and can do them quickly, then this might not be for you. But I want you to think about who you work with or the different types of audiences that you have. Practice intellectual curiosity and get the free account and try it out. If you'd like more information on Gamma and more resources that are similar to that, I will have that in a pinned comment. And please put in your comments how you may use this. Until next time.